Welcome to PCS with Military.com. I'm your host, Amy Bouchatz, Military.com's executive editor. On this podcast, we talk about everything you need to know to make this military move season your best yet. PCS with Military.com is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. No matter where you are in your military career, Navy Federal Credit Union has the products and resources to help you navigate your finances. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission. On this sponsored episode of PCS with Military.com, we'll hear from an expert with Navy Federal Credit Union, helping us learn exactly what we need to know about money over and around a move. Now, let's get this PCS started. When it comes to your money, you can never, ever be too careful or too prepared. And that's especially true when it's time to move. Relocating is already stressful enough on its own, and all of the financial considerations can add just another layer of complicated challenges. And that's why we have Clay Stackhouse, a regional outreach manager with Navy Federal Credit Union, with us today to talk through everything we need to know about keeping track of our money in and around a PCS. Clay has been with Navy Federal since 2015 and served in the Marine Corps for 25 years. That makes him the perfect person to talk to on this subject. Clay, welcome to PCS with Military.com.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so happy to be here. It's good to talk to you.
So you were in the Marine Corps for a long time. Tell us, how many times have you moved with or without the military?
So, do you know, I was so excited to come and talk to you all about this because now that I've been out for a little while and my wife and I look back on the things that we did when we were in the service, it's kind of mind blowing. I think we did 11 moves in 25 years. And they were some good moves. There were some moves that we could have hoped we did over again, but I'm really excited to share some of the insights and overwhelmingly remind people that, that once you have a plan and financially you're situated and everything, these moves can be fun, especially with your children. Once you get into the groove, you cooperate with your partner and you just accept the fact that this is a fact of life and we're going to get after it as a family, like so many military families do. I know you know all about that, Amy. But once you do that, I think it can be fun.
Oh, yeah. Join the military, see the world, as they say.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I find there are sort of two types of people when it comes to this subject. Those who hate talking about their finances and just avoid making eye contact as much as possible. And though with it. And those that love talking about it because they have a very specific plan. Feel like you, given your line of work, might be the latter. And the fact that you're Marine, you love a plan.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I know that your family is involved in the military and you all would understand that you never really do anything without a plan. I mean, could you imagine, hey guys, we're going to take that hill over there and let's just see how it goes. Nobody would do that. So when you do something as important as moving with your family, of course you're going to have a plan. Now, I'm not saying that spontaneity isn't fun. Of course it is. You can be spontaneous, but I mean, Amy, let's face it, spontaneity is a little more fun when you have some cash in your pocket.
So at the risk of being too simple, what is the importance of having specifically a financial plan?
Right. So obviously, there's people out there who are what you called, don't want to talk about finances and are thinking, well, I don't have a plan. I haven't had a plan, and I have to worry about what I have to worry about now in the situation I'm in. Hey, look, that's fine too. The first step, for any plan, you got to get with people you trust, right? We want to get with a financial organization we trust. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about this, I deal with the Guard a lot, and my area is Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And I talk to some people, let's say in rural Mississippi, who go, yeah, I know Jim up at First National. I trust him. Well, that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about trusting a financial institution. I'm talking about, their online ability, their security as an institution, right? Are they going to charge me fees? Are they going to get interest on my account? So when I start talking to people about that first step, Amy, about selecting somebody who you trust, you really need to get specific about the type of institution you choose. And then once you do that and you understand what accounts to open and everything, you get a budget. You can start that, Amy, whether you're kind of in trouble now uh, or whether you've been doing it for a long time. So the military does have a lot of programs and things that you can use once you PCS. I mean, there are advanced pay things that's a different topic and something that you probably only want to use in extremis. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people out there who want to help you, right? Once you have that plan to say, how important is it to have a financial plan? Well, that is fundamentally important, not just for a PCS, but for any time. I'll share a quick story if I can. What I call her the lovely and talented. My wife of 29 years now, I think when we moved, each time we got to a location, we would get these pickle jars, and I would come home from work and I would put change from my pocket into the pickle jar, and we would fill up the pickle jar. And then when it came time to move, we'd take whatever money was in the pickle jar and go to the children and go, look, we have this amount of money to go do something, whatever, because we're moving, which would link the move to something fun. And it's interesting, as we've talked to the kids, they're almost out of high school now. As we talk to them and we say, remember, at this point we went to Chuck E. Cheese, and then after this move, we went zip lining, and then after this move, you guys wanted to go paragliding. So it's interesting how you can kind of trace the growing up of your children to the PCSs as you do that. But that was just a little trick that the lovely and talented came up with, which, we had a plan, we had some extra cash on hand, and we were making it fun.
Right, right. And it all comes back to, like you said, having that plan and knowing that you have enough money on hand to cover what you need, and then also have that padding to really create those memories as you're going.
Sure.
We've heard the figure in another episode that the average unreimbursed out-of-pocket cost for a military move is about $5,000. And that figure was compiled by our friends over at the Military Family Advocacy Network and FAN through their survey. So that means you need some spending cash around a move, more for some folks, less for others, right? Because it's an average. So tell us, like, from a real practical perspective, what do you recommend people have in their accounts in terms of a PCS fund?
Right. So Corporal Smith and Lieutenant General Jones are going to differently, right? But for each one, we think an 80-20. Right? When you set up, I talked about a financial institution to trust. I talked about opening the right accounts. And then once you get a budget that you adhere to, if you've kept about 20% of your pay and put it away into savings up to a point and then starting to invest it, and you use 80% for your everyday expenses, we think that's going to yield something that you're going to be able to fall back on. Because, I remember coming up into actually, we moved here to Pensacola and the house wasn't ready. And then all of a sudden, everything had to go into storage. And some things they didn't want to put into storage. Or I couldn't move a truck. And I had to pay out of pocket to move a pickup truck from the National Capital Region down here. Those are things I didn't expect. So you're absolutely right. That's something that goes back down to that fundamental plan that people need to think of right away, actually. So if you haven't, that's what I'm telling everybody listening. If you haven't done that yet, I mean, at Navy Federal, we would love to have you. We even have free financial planners that work on salary who will help you with your investments and things like that. But fundamentally, you got to get that sound plan where you have a little backup, you have a little cushion. And when you're rolling down the road, you're going to be able to take care of some of those expenses that, as you said, are inevitably going to pop up.
Right, right. So what I hear you saying is have a plan, stick to the plan, and get help making the plan.
Yeah, and I'm a retired colonel with 25 years, and I thought I was doing things pretty well, and I probably, as truth be told, did not take as much advantage of the help that was out there for me. So reach out to your financial institution. reach out to the financial planners and tell them, because you're right. A lot of people don't like to talk about their finances. It's embarrassing, or they didn't talk about it as families. That's okay. Uh, I wrote something for Navy Federal that's published, talking about financial fundamentals will always work. Good financial fundamentals will always work. And it's like that house, that I'll huff and puff and blow my house down. If you got a good brick fundamental uh, uh, financial foundation for your life, then things are going to come easier, and you're going to be able to make investment decisions and things like that. So take advantage of them, and don't be reluctant to reach out.
So let's get even more practical, because I love being practical on the PCS with Military.com podcast. Talk to us about like the steps and practicalities of developing a financial plan around a PCS. What do people need to be thinking about?
So we keep falling back on that financial institution. It it really becomes interesting to me as I talk to people from the Guard who don't really realize there's organizations out there like Navy Federal who are going to be overseas with you. I mean, there's that good online presence that you need to deal with. But not only that, places like Navy Federal has 184 branches near military installations. I mean, we're all over the place overseas. And they're, being able to, I remember going to the Navy Federal in Rota, Spain, when we were coming back from a med float. But yeah, I think the biggest problem is people don't realize, hey, I'm gonna need some spending cash here beforehand. So if you just stumble up onto the PCS and think, okay, well, let's go, then you're going to run into using your credit card, and that's going to be tough, right? Spending the money we don't have at high interest rates is not what we're looking for. So when you have that good savings to fall back on, and you have some cash, and you've planned this out, then you can just take it out of the debit machine or write a nice check, right, and get the fee done. And also, I mean, the military, we're actually focusing on the challenges, Amy. But remember, the military does kind of bend over backwards to try and help. So ensure you understand the things that in a PCS, right? Moving expenses are tax deductible. Make sure you know those things when you go to move your personal goods and everything. Make sure that you know any advances you can get, and you know what receipts you need to save. And don't go into it willy-nilly. I know I keep getting back to the same thing, Amy, but if you don't have that solid plan, you're going to fall back on doing things like not saving your receipts, not taking advantage of all the things that are out there for you, using credit cards that you're going to end up paying off at a high interest. And that's how people get themselves in trouble. That is what we want to avoid.
Right. So I want to go back real fast to two things you just said, actually. First is about Navy Federal locations. You noted that that you have almost 200 of those bad boys. I remember seeing one outside the gate at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And that made me think of the fact that, hey, the word Navy might be in the title, but it's not just for Navy folk. So you don't need to be a sailor or even a Marine to use Navy Federal. Of course, it's open to all branches, right? And Guard and Reserve.
All branches, Guard, Reserve, veterans and their families. That's why we exist. I mean, all day, every day. We're called Navy Federal because we started in 1933 in DC with some Navy guys, but we have since grown. I mean, growth is a touchstone of Navy Federal. Do you know that we have over 10 million members? We're the largest credit union in the world right now, which enables us to deliver, those products and services that are, in my opinion, a perk of military service. It is my honor, actually, after getting out and serving with those people. I just love the people who said, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Those are my guys and gals. And when I go out there and am able to help them, even a small thing like getting the good financial future set up for them, it's something, it makes me happy. It makes me know that I'm helping who I consider the good guys. I know your husband's an infantry officer. I used to fly helicopters, and I like to say I'm done chasing the bad guys, and now I'm helping the good guys. And the good guys are those military veterans, family, and Navy Federal members out there who we just bend over backwards every day to try and help.
Yeah. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was exactly that. So a little while ago, you talked about having access through Navy Federal to somebody who can help with that financial plan. So I'm wondering if you could actually talk a little bit more about what someone like that can do. So if I'm a Navy Federal Credit Union member, I pick up the phone, I call you guys, I set up a flare, I walk into a branch and I say, help me. What happens next?
No, Amy, I love the way you said that, because that's exactly right. You can do it online. You can dial our 888-842-6328 24 hours a day, right? If you're lucky enough. Now, you said almost 200. Those are near military bases. We have over 300 branches you can probably walk into. So, right, those are ways you can do it. But you show that you are eligible for membership if you're not already a member, right? And just starts from there. In plain language, say, hey, look, I'm in financial trouble. I want to talk to a financial advisor. You can make an appointment, and that's covered in your membership. Like I said, our accounts yield interest. We have guys like me who roam around different areas of the country talking to people, because that it's fundamental. They were teaching me in the Marine Corps, we recruit the Marine, but we retain the family. Because if the family's not happy, people are not going to stay. I think we kind of feel the same way at Navy Federal. I mean, we bend over backwards to ensure we're helping them financially and coming up with that plan. And I'm not telling you, we're doing some crazy day trading, and I'm just talking about a solid financial plan that will give you the confidence to embark upon something that you're going to have to do, like a PCS, with joy, to where you can take your family, get your little your pickle jar full of change, and hit the road with the lovely and talented, like I did, and just pull off the side of the road and maybe, I don't know, have some fried pickles and Cokes and have fun with the family. And that's how we did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Clay, do I hear that you like pickles? Because that's the second time in one statement you mentioned pickles and pickle jars. True or false? Pickle
That's
fan.
true. Perhaps they play a larger role in my life than I was originally aware of.
Let's pull over for a break to thank our sponsor. PCS with Military.com is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. They might be called Navy Federal, but they don't exclusively serve sailors. Serving all members of the armed forces, they have the products and resources to help support you with your next move. So, even if you can't tell port from starboard, they'll still help you learn about mortgages and auto loans. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission, an equal housing lender. Now, back to the show. So I love your optimism and your practicality. One of the things we do here on PCS with Military.com that anyone who's listened to any of the episodes know is really break things down in a way that helps people not make mistakes or really make the best of their PCS move. So in the spirit of that, can you talk to us about maybe the biggest financial mistake you see individuals make around a PCS so that we can, not do that?
Yeah, Amy, I think it's the credit card thing, and which goes back to the plan, right? If you have the plan and you have the basic fundamentals squared away, and you have some money put away, and you understand all of the benefits that you get from the military. But it boils down, any financial plan, Amy, as you know, as a military spouse, is just not spending money you don't have, right?
Right.
Especially money you don't have at a high interest rate. So whereas we do have credit cards at Navy Federal, and we know you use credit in order to compile a credit score, there's a responsible way to do that. There's things that we talk to you about at Navy Federal, right, about how you pay things off. But the bottom line, Amy, is if you go into it without a plan, you're going to probably spend money you don't have at a high interest rate. And that's what we want to avoid. That's what we want to help you with.
Right. So, and that looks like, I keep I'm guilty of often keeping my credit card just in my pocket, right? Just like I leave the wallet behind entirely and I carry that bad boy because it scans, it, inserts and yeah, like I don't even have to think about it, right? It's just
Right.
in my pocket. This, by the way, is not a good strategy, guys. Don't do this because it leads to you losing your credit card a lot, often under the seat of your car. So,
So, Amy, you
but
can do that with a debit card, though, right? And just use it like it's I'm an old guy, but like it's a checkbook. You can do
okay.
it where it comes directly out of the account. And that's what I would suggest.
Little tip for Amy. I like it. All right. I see you're helping me now. I appreciate that. Well, so, okay, with that too. But what I was going to say is like the fact that it's so easy and thoughtless, right? So using a debit card instead, as you just said, would, take the thoughtless process out. But when I'm PCSing, when I'm moving, inevitably I'm setting up my home. I'm finding that all the, movers broke all of my glasses. We need
Yep.
glasses right now.
Mhm.
Theoretically, I will be reimbursed for that later. Theoretically, I have been given a cash advance, dislocation allowance,
Right.
DLA, which is essentially a cash advance to pay for stuff like this. But nobody's watching the store to make sure I didn't also buy 15 new dog beds or 15 new dogs, right?
Sure.
So I whip out my credit card, I'm buying my glasses, and the same thing goes for every other thing. And that stuff it just plain adds up.
Yeah, of course it does. And once you get down, so I'll share with you, I have twins who are teenagers, right? And as they
Bless you.
teenage years, we live downtown here in Pensacola, and there's a lot of festivals, especially before the pandemic. They'd go downtown and they'd say, Daddy can have some cash for this. Daddy can have some cash for that. Before you know it, I'm just bleeding cash. And so we got them a debit card linked to campus checking at Navy Federal when they were younger. And then they would swipe the card, right? And then we would get the statement. And I would sit down with the children and I'd say, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? It was a great opportunity to sit and talk as a family, because eventually you're going to have to talk about finances. You're going to have to wrestle down some discipline, just like you did in the military. Right? All the military people didn't just join the military knowing how to about face and salute and say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and all that. You had to learn things. So understand you're going to have to do that in financially as well. And you're going to have to teach your children that. We've made it fun, right? So when they swipe the card and it says no funds available, they're going to realize why, because we didn't put X amount of money into their campus checking, but it's a way for us to educate them so that they can go on and make responsible decisions.
Oh, I love that. That's such good advice. And it doesn't have to be a hard conversation, right? It just has to be a planned conversation, going back to our theme, right?
Sure.
That you are making that happen and that you're having those discussions with your kids. I have opened some accounts for my kids at a local place. Because I wanted them, we don't have a Navy Federal location near my house, and I wanted them to be able to walk in there and do their accounts. But on this theme, it's meant that they are thinking about how much money they have in their account, and putting their birthday money in it or whatever. My guys are a little bit younger; they're 12 and 9. So so they're just learning, right? But
sure.
What's so funny is that I have found myself borrowing cash from my kids.
Right.
Because
well, if they're 12 and 9, Amy, I'll bet you they're going to be able to use our online mobile app better than you or I can. I know I get about that. It's right there on your phone. I get, and it is nice walking into a place, and I know you're in Alaska. But it's amazing what you can do online. Well, this podcast, I'm in Pensacola and you're in Alaska, and we're just getting after it. So we can do them too.
Yeah, absolutely. But they'll have cash on hand that's destined for their account, and I find myself with no cash. And then
Wait a minute.
And then there's that. And then I'm squirreling away $5 here, $5 there from my sons to hey, I'll pay you back. Do you have $5 extra for whatever? Yeah, that's become real life around here. It's almost like I can see my future.
That is funny.
So there you go. Okay, so talk to us. Like, we've been talking about, you mentioned these accounts you have your kids. You mentioned that we have these app tools that I could be using for mine, and I'm slacking over here. Talk to us about maybe some of the underutilized PCS specific or not financial tools people might just like forget about or simply not know about, kind of like I did with the app right now.
Yeah.
Um,
So that, yeah, that
what do
is
you
a
guys
good
got?
point. There are, as I would, and all the people listening who are kind of more seasoned military members know, as you come along and you're training the younger members, a lot of times just that attention to detail about uh, how they do their job or how you do an inspection or the amount of attention to detail that's required to get something done correctly, right? So when I say, I alluded to earlier, hey, you got to get an institution you trust. Remember, there you need to really drill down about that. What does that mean, an institution that you trust? And it's not just, I know Jimmy who works at that bank. You need to look at what they offer because you're going to become an international man of mystery or woman of mystery as you join the military because the United States military is the greatest military in the history of the world, and we are all over the world, right? So you're gonna need that security. You're gonna need that online banking. You're gonna need branches, in Spain or Korea or Japan, like we have. So you're gonna really need to drill down and understand financially how an organization can help you, right? And if you do that and you select one, hey, think about it simply, right? I've grabbed who it is I want to go with financially. I know the right accounts to open. I'm going to start a budget and then I'm going to learn to invest. It's not complicated. As you said, Amy, it's just difficult to do because there's so many easy ways to spend money you don't have or to end up doing things at a high interest rate. Uh, and with your partner, I know we've talked about your relationship with your husband, me with the lovely and talented. It needs to be a joint effort together, the family, as you move through this, right? Helping one another and understanding what's out there and taking advantage of it. And make a concerted effort to say, you know what, let's stop, even for half an hour, 20 minutes, stop and make a concerted effort to talk about it for a little while. You'll be surprised the results that will yield.
Yeah. And you mentioned, we've talked quite a bit about our kids on this episode.
Yeah,
And it occurs to me while you're speaking just now that so many military kids end up joining the military themselves.
yeah,
It's a really kind of shockingly high rate that I don't know that off the top of my head, but I remember being really surprised. Sitting here with a 9 and 12-year-old, I cannot imagine that being a thing, but it is. And so having a family history with a specific type of financial institution that then does have those considerations in and then can be passed to your kids as an
sure,
example, as something to use. Maybe they even already have accounts set up for them, like we talked
yeah.
about earlier. It just sets everybody up for success.
And Amy, don't think for a second. I'm realizing there's a lot of people listening who are maybe on their first tour, maybe about to, they're single, about to embark upon their first PCS. I'd say to them, look, this can be a pretty simple evolution. You have the ability to do a diddy move, which I did when I was first in the military. Just kind of put everything in a U-Haul and move it yourself, and you can go from barracks to barracks or ship to ship, eat in the chow hall. That is what I preach with those, like junior enlisted who I just graduated from high school and now here I am in the military. Make your life pretty. A lot of the distractions you had beforehand. I mean, think about it, Amy. You have your medical, your dental paid for, right? If you can have your lodging paid for, uniforms issued to you, right? You can in the chow hall, which I love chow hall food, and it gets better and better every day. Of course, I'm an old fleet marine, but especially my goodness, some of the food on the Navy ships. I'll tell you what. Shout out Some of those Navy chiefs know how to put together some chili mac, I'll tell you. But yeah, so I'm not, you're right. You and I both have families. And there's it does tend to get a little more complex. But, for those guys and gals who are just now doing their first PCS or on their first tour, look, come on over. We have a lot of help for you all too. And I want to make sure that they know that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So walk us out now with a few, just like we said, we love practical here. So just really practical tips for getting through a PCS with our wallets and our sanity intact.
Yeah.
Like, just give us some things that folks can do right this hot second.
Sure. By the numbers, military style, right?
Yeah. Give it, even if maybe they're like listening to this while they're already on the road, because that's a thing, right? Listening to podcasts while you're driving. So give us just walk us out with some practical tips.
Okay. Yeah. I'd say, obviously, if they're on the road now, it's once you get to your stopping point, get to a plan. So whatever point you're in, you need a plan, right? So first off, I'd say, let's have a plan for doing this, right? Two, I'd say, honestly, and I know you understand this, Amy, do it with joy. I mean, I know they call it the service. Do something to make it fun. I'm Mr. Pickle Jar guy, and that may be funny, but it was a way we made it joyous, right? And then three, and you can do this, I don't know, is it 90 days? Don't quote me, but up until after the move, ensure you know all the things that are out there for you to take advantage of.
Right.
All right. So that plan, that it's never too late to get to do it with joy, like hopefully you're doing everything in the military, and then three, ensure there's a lot that the military does a lot to try and reimburse you to make sure, but if you don't have the receipts, right, and you didn't put in for the right things, that gets back to that plan stuff. It's going to be more difficult. So I'd say plan, joy, benefits. How's that?
Yeah. Oh, so good. It's good, Clay. That's how it is.
Well, good.
Thank you.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm happy too. And hopefully our listeners are just walking away from this knowing that, finances can seem a little bit daunting. They can be a little bit scary, but there's folks out here with the expertise and the tools really to help you make it less scary, less daunting, and, even enjoyable in a lot of ways. So thank you so much for offering that to us. Thank you so much for being on PCS with Military.com today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks so much for listening to PCS with Military.com. You can get all of the military news and information you need delivered straight to your inbox by subscribing to Military.com at Military.com/subscribe. A special thanks to our sponsor, Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. No matter where you are in your military career, Navy Federal Credit Union has the products and resources to help you navigate your finances. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission.